Hello everyone, welcome back to Thankful Thriftiness. Today's video is the start of a new series I'm calling Tea Time, where I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea, or in today's case, a cup of hot cocoa, and chat with you about a topic. I don't know exactly what all we'll discuss, but let me know in the comments below what is something you'd like for me to talk about during tea time. These videos will be a little bit more casual and laid back than the usual instructional videos that I publish, so grab yourself a cup of tea, get cozy, and let's talk. I could not believe it when I realized, I think yesterday, I have never made my mom's hot cocoa since I've gotten married. We used to have this at least weekly when I lived with my parents, and since I've gotten married, I just haven't. So today is the day, and it turned out pretty good. Definitely not as good as my mom's, but I tried, and I will get better. And if you watched the intro, you probably saw that I threw a few chocolate chips in the bottom of this mug, which is a melty welcome surprise at the end. So good. Today I'm going to tell you the story of my wedding dress. The reason I'm going to share this with you is I want to encourage you to think outside the box of the usual, the norm, and find ways you can save money but still be super pleased with the result, especially in the area of weddings and bigger events. My husband and I had a 4.5-month engagement and were able to pull off a wedding under $4,000, due largely to the generosity of others, but also we really worked hard to save money where we could. I don't know if there are many people watching this channel who are engaged, soon to be married, or interested in wedding planning, but let me know if you would like for me to do a whole series on various parts of the wedding where we were able to save money, along with some hacks and tips. So if you're a girl, and even a guy, you probably know that wedding dresses are kind of a big deal. Girls often spend their entire lives imagining what their wedding dress will look like before they're even married. I really had something I thought for sure I wanted for years, and then when it came time to actually plan a wedding and get married, first of all, my tastes kind of changed as far as what I wanted, and I realized, cha-ching, cha-ching, that's going to cost a ton of money. The week after we got engaged, I was surprised by my sweet friend Cecilia, who came all the way from New York to stay with my family for the weekend. And when I say surprised, I mean scared the living daylights out of me surprised. I hadn't seen her in I think 2 years. It was just a wonderful time to hang out and see her and celebrate. It was so much fun. And during her trip, my mom planned a surprise for her, my sister Campbell, and myself to go wedding dress shopping at a beautiful wedding dress shop. The owner is a dear. She is what a wedding dress shop owner should be. She has a lot of knowledge about wedding dresses and the wedding industry as a whole. She's very gracious, very lovely, very calming. My mom made us all London Fogs, which is my favorite drink, and we just spent some time looking at wedding dresses. I tried on 4, I don't remember. But in the end, I found one that I really loved. And I was like, yep, this is the dress. However, in the end, I realized that spending the amount of money it would take to buy the dress wasn't where my priority was. Just me personally. The dress was well priced for what it was. I'm going to put a link to the shop's website down below so you can check it out. If you're a bride looking forward to getting married, I would highly recommend choosing your wedding dress from this place. The dresses are not inexpensive. However, I believe they're fairly priced because they are very well made and very customizable. I found the dress, I found the one I wanted. It was beautiful. It was one I never would have imagined I would like. But when I looked at it in the mirror, I just thought, oh my goodness, I feel like a bride in this dress. And that was the goal. However, the price point was not what I was willing to spend, just because for me personally, that wasn't where the priority was. We were getting married fairly quickly, and so it just wasn't where we wanted to put our money. However, for most brides, I know that the wedding dress is where you want to spend some money. So definitely not judging anybody who does, and I totally understand. When I sat down with my parents afterward to talk to them about the wedding dress situation, when I decided not to get the wedding dress, that I had seen at the shop, my dad said, well, why don't you wear one of your mom's? My mom has 2 wedding dresses because she and my dad got engaged, set a wedding date, and then between being engaged and the wedding, they realized we want to get married now. And they had the blessing of both of their families, so they did. So my mom had a very simple but very lovely wedding dress for their first wedding. And then they did keep the date of the big wedding because my mom got a really nice wedding dress. She's like, yeah, we spent the money, we put it into this. We want to celebrate with everybody. So they had 2 lovely weddings. I love both of my mom's wedding dresses. However, I didn't know if they would look good on me because I am a few inches taller than my mom, so I didn't know even what alterations I would need to do in order to make them work for me. So originally, I thought I was going to wear my mom's first wedding dress, the more simple one, because it was looser and it was more forgiving. My mom and I don't have exactly the same body shape, I guess you could say, and she was so stinking tiny. She is super tiny, and I'm like, there's no way I can fit into your fitted wedding dress. Like, I just can't. We aren't the same. So I don't know exactly what made me choose not to use that first wedding dress, but something happened in the course of getting ready for the wedding where I realized it wasn't quite alterable to what I needed it to be, because the gap between the ground and the hem of the dress with me wearing it was a little awkward. It wasn't quite to the ground and it wasn't quite high enough. It was just strange. So I'm like, well, I've always wanted to make my own wedding dress. For years I said I would, and then I didn't expect to get married 4.5 months after getting engaged. So I had thrown that idea out the window. I'm like, there's no way I can pull off making a wedding dress. So my mom was so sweet and gracious and let me alter her beautiful wedding dress from the second wedding. My wedding dress ended up looking very different from hers, but the shell is still the same. So I went through a lot of back and forth of should I add sleeves, should I not add sleeves? Ended up deciding not to go with sleeves. I also decided to cover it in lace, and I took some coworkers of mine and we went to the store, and the girls picked out the lace for me. Even though only one of them was a seamstress, they both were like, girl, this is the one, go for it. And at first I'm like, no, but Bree and Abigail, you guys were totally right. Thanks so much for coming with me and helping me pick out my wedding dress material. You guys did a great job, and I am so pleased with the end result. The skirt on my mom's dress was the biggest issue. It's very poofy, and I didn't like the look on myself, and it didn't quite reach the ground either, so it just looked strange. So I knew I had to replace the skirt. And a sweet friend of mine and her sister came over, and her sister is a very talented seamstress, and she helped me fit my skirt because I knew I could not do it on my own. I ended up going with a little bit more of a fitted skirt, which completely shocked me. Like, never in my life did I think I wanted a fitted skirt for my wedding. I always thought I wanted the poofier one. But when push came to shove, that's what I wanted, and it was way less expensive because the material costs much less. I will be honest though, it was a little scary before the wedding because Griffin and I were talking about the dress. Obviously he hadn't seen it, and he said something along the lines of, well, at least I know you won't have a low back on it. And I'm just like, so how low do you define low back? And he looks at me and he's like, well, I think I trust you not to do anything bad. No, I love the back line. I guess this would be the neckline, this would be the back line. I don't know. I just love that element of this dress. It's so pretty. So I have my wedding dress here. Well, I shouldn't call it my dress. It's my mom's dress as well as my own. And this is the lace we ended up choosing. And the neat thing about this lace is it came with a nice edge on the bottom of it. I don't know if you can you see that? Yeah, I think you can see that. However, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically, because I wanted a little bit of a scoop in the back, well, not a scoop, a train, thank you. A train in the back. I needed the edges to be rounded of the fabric, but the fabric didn't come that way, and it just bunches up weird when you try to make it work. So I ended up cutting the trim off of the edges of the fabric and just kind of laid it over the top and sewed it on almost like lace, if that makes sense. I'm sorry if that's super confusing, but to seamstresses, hopefully this will help you understand how this worked a little bit more. By far the hardest part was the bodice of this dress because it was a super nicely fitted dress for my mom and I needed it to fit me. So I had to rip out all the seams and redo most of them, I think, and including even the lining, which was quite the hassle. But I'm so glad in the end that I did it. On our wedding day, the dress served its purpose beautifully. It was comfortable, A, which was like the number one requirement. B, it just hung right, it fit right. The train didn't get in the way of dancing at all because it was very short. It just kind of gently swept the grass behind me. And I am just so thankful to my mom for letting me cut up her dress and use it. So thank you so much, Mama. I am so grateful. I wouldn't change anything about this dress. I love it and it's a great memory, in my opinion. If we had had like a huge fancy wedding, I think a bigger dress, a bigger, more elegant dress would have fit the picture better, but with the way it was just more elegant and understated, and it just worked really well, and I'm very thankful for it. My first look with my dad was so sweet and such a tearjerker. He turned around and started tearing up, and when we asked him, how he was doing or whatnot, he said that for half a second he thought I was my mom, which was so sweet because I think that was his first time seeing the dress, and he really liked it and he thought it was my mom's dress. So that made me feel really happy, and Griffin also loved the dress, and since then he's told me he really liked the dress and he's very happy that I didn't spend a ton of money on it. I think in total I spent $120 on fixing up this dress, which is really good for a wedding dress. Thank you all so much for watching. A special shout out to the guys watching this video. I know for a fact that there are 3 guys who watch these videos. 4. My dad, my brother Abe, my husband Griffin, and our cousin Paul. So thanks so much for watching, especially if you sat through a wedding dress video. You guys are great. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more of it, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to Thankful Thriftiness if you're not already. So that's it for this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Cheers. I have now reached the chocolate chips, and my delight is immeasurable.